Hello there. I hope you're doing great, having a fantastic week. I'm glad to be with you here. I am back on YouTube for the first time in a while. Been traveling and unable to connect with my laptop. New laptop. Again, honestly, I'm not very technically oriented, and so it may well be just something I'm missing, some simple thing that I wasn't doing properly. But in any case, uh, I'm back. If this looks like a new environment, this is our massage room. You can see the massage table behind me. It's there's a beautiful lamp overhead. You can't see. There's some cool decor. Oh, uh-oh, knocking my phone over. In the meantime, anyway, uh, that's here on Facebook. Sorry, Instagram. I didn't show you. You can actually see more because there you go. It's a little easier with the phone, isn't it? Anyway, glad to be here. Hope you're having a fantastic week. I'm going to move this over just a little bit more. Let's see if we can figure out how to do that. Okay, so glad to see you. If you are just joining, glad you're here. Welcome. Move my hand out of the way there. So I'm in a new environment. I'm not recording from where I normally do today because we are closed right now. And what that generally means is we have work going on here, construction, renovations, etc. We are working on the kitchen, in the kitchen right now. And the kitchen is on the other side of the wall from where I normally record. And there's a lot of hammering going on over there. So it made more sense to me to find another place to be, and that's where I'm here. So good to see you. Flyer says, hey, Loren, can you please talk and re-explain the feeling and sensations of true hunger? I have watched all your vids on the topic, but still confused. Thanks for consistently answering my question. Yeah. First of all, let me say hello. I see Flyer. Enrico is here. Krasimir, good to see you. Daniel is here. I'll come back. Joel, Abby. I can't read the Greek. I think that's Greek. I'm not sure what it is. Looks like Greek to me. I can't read that. And I see we've got some folks with us here on Instagram. I've said hello to many. Hello there. Yael, good to see you. Ian, good to see you here. And Connor, many others. Pablo, Eric, good to see you. Gregory, you're very, very welcome. I'm glad to share whatever I can. Naja. Okay, so let me start here with, I have been away from YouTube now for a few weeks. I think it's been 3, maybe we've missed in a row where we haven't been able to get on YouTube. So I'm going to start with the questions here on YouTube. Yeah, true hunger is very simple. True hunger feels a lot like thirst because we're intended to meet the body's needs for water and food at the same time. Most of that need by eating high water content food. Now, if this is confusing, because some of you have heard me say you can't, most people at least can't not drink water, right? Even if you're eating an optimal diet, you still need to be drinking water. And now I'm telling you, but we should to naturally get the water from our food. The problem is that most people have made themselves very dehydrated as a result of eating dry food their entire life. You know, if you grew up eating bread and cereal and pasta and even cooked vegetables, you cook the water out of it, right? Meat, like our bodies, flesh is mostly water, but not after you've cooked it. You've cooked most of the water out of that. And so most people are mostly consuming things that are very low in water, if they have any at all. And that means that they're not going to get enough water by simply eating optimally. Now, on the other hand, let's see, 2 days ago, one of my volunteers and I went out looking for plants, looking for some lighting. Again, we're renovating the kitchen. We need some lamps. We've taken the ceiling out, so the ceiling mounted fixtures no longer work. We now need things that are going to hang from a much higher ceiling. We had problems with the roof leaking, et cetera. This is a building that we inherited, and when I moved in, very low ceiling, flat roof, much like the one here. This one doesn't leak like the other one did. Um, it was just probably poorly built as well as being very flat. But anyway, we've corrected that issue, but now needed these things. And we were out together for several days, and she said, um, "Are you eating?" And I said, "Well, I haven't eaten yet today." And she said, "And you haven't had anything to drink?" Because we were together for 5, 6 hours. True. I rarely drink any water because I'm hydrated. Okay. Now I've gotten myself hydrated by doing two things, three things really. One, fasting properly and long enough various times. Okay, doing this once isn't going to do it. I've done it more than I needed to, like 40 times. But even doing it, 3 times properly, you can eliminate all the old garbage. Okay, as long as you are doing it properly and long enough. The key there afterward is to eat optimally. We're intended to be eating things that are high in water and high in fiber. That means fruit, soft, tender leaves. It doesn't mean vegetables. Okay, vegetables are too difficult for the body to digest, most vegetables. We don't need them. Okay, we get more nutrients from eating fruit. And not only does fruit have more nutrients, but even where vegetables have more, for instance, I've talked about this before, but with vitamin A equivalency units, okay? There's no vitamin A in produce, but the body converts carotenes, like beta carotene, into vitamin A. Even when kale has twice as much, a serving of kale as a serving of papaya, we get twice as much from the papaya. That should be very clear. We should be eating the things that we can easily get the nutrients from. All right. So those people out there telling you, you have to eat the most nutrient dense foods possible are wrong, because those things are things that are usually very difficult for our bodies to digest, like the wood behind me. Okay. It's loaded with nutrients. It was a tree. We can't digest it. It's not food for us. Okay. Broccoli, kale, cabbage, most vegetables are not actually fit for human consumption. Soft, tender, leafy greens. All right. So we're intended to get, coming back to the question, we're intended to get our water with our food primarily. Again, we can't actually do that. Most people. Most people need to be sipping water throughout the day. Most people need 3 to 4 liters a day until they get the body cleaned out, even if they're eating optimally. If they're eating optimally, maybe it's only 3 liters instead of 4. But most people still need to be sipping ample amounts of water. And if they don't, we measure here for the last 15 years, we've measured more than 5,000 people's hydration levels. And what we see, virtually everyone is seriously dehydrated. You can't get hydrated until you clean this garbage out. It's never going to happen. Okay. There are many so-called health experts out there that are seriously dehydrated. And I can tell by looking at them. I've told some of them. One of them I like to tell because he's an ass. And he's like, "No, I'm not. I'm fully hydrated." He's not. He has no way to know. He doesn't know how to measure it. He doesn't understand what this means. He doesn't understand when he looks in the mirror what he's seeing. But I can see it. Having measured thousands of people, I can tell what that looks like. Okay. Um, so real hunger feels like thirst. It's a tickling sensation in the back of the throat. Okay, it has nothing to do with the stomach. If you're having stomach-based symptoms, that is not hunger. You are not hungry. Your body does not need food. That is not what's going on. Okay, it's not. You want to be clear about that. You want to be clear about that. Mia's here. Hello, Mia. Let's see. Oh, Bulgaria. Okay, that's Bulgarian. I apologize. It's a language if it's an alphabet I can't recognize, it looks like Greek and I don't know how to read it, or Russian maybe. Um, Mia says, if someone wants to volunteer, what qualities and characteristics do you seek in a good volunteer? We're looking for team players who are intelligent, willing to do what we need them to do, flexible, open, etc. We only take volunteers from people who fast with us 21 days. We want them to fast and then stay over to volunteer. We want them to be clean while they're here, so they're not craving all kinds of crap and having emotional issues, and etc. So we take volunteers from people who complete a 21-day fast and then stick around to volunteer. And as you know, we don't actually commit in advance. We want people to be here so we can get to know them and see if it's someone we actually want to live with and work with. and know that it's competitive. Okay, we have 4 volunteer rooms. We have 2 volunteers who 3 current. Actually, we currently have 3 volunteers here now. Um, One of them was here for a year and a half and took a break for a couple months and came back. Um, that's Jen. Riley is here. He was here for about 6 months. Gemma, actually, I just took her to the bus. She went to Mexico for a week, but we'll be back. And we have both Guzelle and Peter coming back, so we're already over subscribed. Now we can sometimes make space for others, but it's competitive because that means we're losing guest space, right? So it has to be the right person, has to be a good fit. Um, we're building a community and we're happy to have people with us, but it has to be people who are actually, really willing to do what they need to do and intelligent enough to help us and etc. So I've got some super chats here. I don't mean to be ignoring them. I've just been up until now getting to them. So Daniel was first. Daniel 124, excuse me. Daniel says, "How do you deal with insomnia while fasting, and also how do you prevent it? I find it makes fasting so difficult. Inevitably, I end up eating to sleep." Okay, well, um, Daniel, come here. First of all, I mean, folks, again, I realize some people think this is just shameless self promotion that, I just want you to come here because the truth is we stay pretty full. We don't really need you. But I guarantee you unconditionally, your fast will be 87 and a half times more beneficial here than on your own. Why? Because I've done this thousands of times and you probably haven't. Okay, people make mistakes. Now, coming back to the question, you don't prevent insomnia while fasting. Not everyone has it. Some people do and some people don't. First of all, you should be resting all the time when you're fasting. If you're not coming close to getting the same benefit. You should be resting all the time. If you're resting all the time, you might need less sleep because you've already gotten a lot of rest by the time you lay down in bed. Okay? If that's what happens, that's what happens. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just how it is. But you might need less sleep because you've been resting all day. Okay? Second of all, your body detoxifies more heavily at night when you're sleeping. Why? Because we're diurnal animals governed by cycles of light, dark. As it gets dark, our whole body moves into a more restful state. We feel less active. We feel like resting. And that's because that's what happens hormonally. When that happens, we're liberating energy for the body to be able to cleanse and heal. So the body's ability to cleanse and heal is dramatically enhanced at night. And there's more of that going on. And therefore, we may sleep less. This is not a problem. Okay. Your job is to be resting in the dark at night, not sleeping. Okay. So there's an issue here about where you're focusing your attention, what you're putting your, I mean, I understand you want to sleep, but you don't get to control that. Okay. Um, if, by the way, I mean, if your body's clean, sleeping is no problem when you're fasting. Okay. It's a problem when your body's detoxing and you need to let it do what it needs to do. There's nothing to fix. There's not a problem. And obviously eating to be able to sleep is a mistake because you're not getting the benefit. Come here, I'll guarantee you leave here healthier than you've ever been in your life. That's what virtually always happens if people are open and coachable. Okay, I mean, we have people that leave here that don't get much benefit. Why? Because they're not taking coaching. They're not doing what they need to do. Those people who do get amazing results almost every time. Almost every time. Okay? Thanks for the contribution. All right, let's see. I'm going to take the super chats, and then I'll come to Instagram and take some questions from the top, and then I'll take one, etc. All right. So Michael Kyles with Lobos says, "Sending love, Loren. I appreciate you, Michael. Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. Much love to you, hermano, and everyone else here. I mean, I'm just so happy to be able to be here, to be back on YouTube after not being able to get on. That was frustrating. Just watching it spin and spin and spin and never actually connect. I'm so glad to be back, and I'm so glad to be able to share this information. Folks, if it's not already clear to you, amazing, incredible levels of health and vitality is the birthright of every organism. Okay, you can feel and function amazingly well if you're willing to do what you need to do. It means fasting long enough and properly, and that almost always means having experienced guidance. That's what I keep, why I keep doing what I'm doing, because it makes a huge difference. Makes a huge difference. Okay. All right. Ian is here with a super chat, £5. Thank you, Ian. Ian says, is carbonated water actually bad or just not optimal? At a restaurant, it's a change. I understand that some French springs are naturally carbonated. Yeah, there are some springs in the world where there is naturally, they come up with some gas in them. Um, all right. I mean, is it actually bad? I hate to use the word bad. I think it's much better to talk about what's optimal and what's suboptimal, what works and what doesn't work, how things affect us rather than saying this is good and that's bad. We use carbonated water sometimes when someone is nauseous because sometimes the carbonation helps prevent them from feeling as nauseous. It doesn't always work, it doesn't work for everyone, but for some people it seems to help. And so it's something we'll often have available to people should they need it. I encourage everyone to avoid drinking carbonated water when possible. I don't believe it's optimal. I don't think it's moving us in the same direction, the same level of health as drinking natural, still spring water. That is uncarbonated water. I believe that's always going to be best. But there are times where carbonated water may play a role. It can help someone. If someone's vomiting uh, repeatedly and we need that to stop so they don't get themselves into electrolyte trouble, then it can be useful, right? So it's not a bad thing, but it's definitely not optimal. Okay, I hope that helps. All right, so I'm going to head back over here to Instagram and scroll all the way back up to the top. It's all the way because a lot of people are cycling through here. I don't know how many people stick around at one time, but a lot of people come through. I guess with Instagram, it's often people click and see what's happening. Oh, I'm not interested in that. They click back off of it. Um, oh, so the first question is Ian again asking the same question. Let's see. All right. Ken Allen Show says, how about how long does it take a Tanglewood papaya to be ripe and ready to eat after being picked? Well, that depends entirely on when it's picked. Um, Theoretically, papayas, we could wait. By the way, I'm wearing my papaya shirt today. Theoretically, we could wait to pick the papaya until it's actually ripe. I just noticed I kind of matched the wall, don't I? We could wait to pick it until it's fully ripe. The problem is we don't do that very often, not on purpose. Why not? Because if we leave it on the plant until it's fully ripe, birds and other animals will start eating it. Okay, so we usually pick them a little bit before they ripen, and that's perfectly fine. I mean, papayas will ripen. They're climacteric fruits, so they'll ripen after being picked. As long as they're not, I mean, if you pick them too soon, before they're fully mature, they're never going to ripen, right? That's what happens if you pick something before it's mature. But as long as we wait for it to mature properly on the plant, we can pick it before it's ripe, and it will ripen perfectly well in the kitchen. And then, so how long does that take? Typically 2 to 4 days. Typically 2 to 4 days from when we pick it, it's ready to eat. Again, if it's picked much sooner, too early, it will take longer. So it's going to vary depending on that. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right. Daniel 1224 is back. 499 contribution. Thank you. Also experiencing intense buzzing in my head while fasting, particularly at night. Can you explain what's going on? No, unfortunately, I can't. And I'm sorry. Um, shall I refund your 499? I mean, unfortunately, there's not enough information to know what's going on. For those of you who insist on fasting without guidance, and I mean, I understand, first of all, we have people listening in from all over the world. Um, right now, it's not a huge group. There's 36 people here with me on YouTube and 15 people here on Instagram. It's not huge. Sometimes we've had 165 people at one time. But many people will watch this later on. We know that because we can see the views later on. And people are literally listening in from all over the world. Um, so I realize that there are some people for whom our rates are just something they can't do, or it feels like they can't do. I mean, the truth, of course, is that today in a global economy where we're all connected here online, what that means is that if you have something of value you can offer to the world, you can make a living, and you can make a living in US dollars no matter where you live, or whatever. I mean, if you think euros or pounds is a better yen, whatever it might be, Japanese yen. I mean, the point is you can set up a business where you work with people online or share information online, sell something online, and you've got the whole world. And again, I mean, people think selling is a bad thing. Folks, I sell my services. Is that a bad thing? Well, my guess is that most of the more than 14,000 clients I've worked with would say it's a great thing. Loren helped me become much healthier. Okay, I mean, it's selling is nothing more than helping someone make a choice that's good for them. I mean, it could be that's bad for them too, but I would never get involved with that. I mean, personally, the best salesmen are con artists, and often are in prison. Our results are amazing, and we see them. And if anyone who thinks this is nonsense, just take a look at the more than 100 videos with clients talking about how amazing their experiences were. Okay, it's incredible what happens for people. So um, if you're unwilling to have guidance through the process, what I would encourage you to do at least is scrape together the money to spend a 1 hour with me on a consultation. Okay. You might not want to, because you're going to end the call knowing that you should have guidance through the process. Your experience will be much better, much safer, and much more beneficial, because I actually know what needs to happen. Okay. But there's not enough information here to know what's going on for you, Daniel. So I'd be happy to help you, but it's impossible to say because there's just not enough information there. Okay. If you want to schedule a call, we can talk in more detail about what's going on. And then maybe I'd be able to answer that for you. Okay. But I can't do it otherwise. Sorry about that. Oops. I'm trying to scroll with my finger on my laptop. That doesn't work. All right. Let's see. I'm going to scroll down here. All right. David Porter says, hey, Loren, apricots are ready. Sending a big hello from the Ukraine. Hope all is well. Well, thank you, David. Instead of sending me a big hello, why don't you send me some apricots? That would really be appreciated. I appreciate the hello too. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate the friendship and brotherhood. I would love to have some fresh Ukrainian apricots. I grew up eating really delicious apricots in the summertime. By the time I was in my 20s, apricots in the US pretty much tasted all mealy and dry and not worth buying. I've enjoyed apricots in other parts of the world, often in Europe in the summertime. There's delicious apricots available, but I haven't really had many good ones in the US in a long, long time. So I'm sure if you're picking your own apricots, waiting for them to be ready to be picked, they've got to be amazing. Enjoy them. And thanks so much for your kind reaching out. Okay, Zoa says, would you consider arugula or bib leaf lettuce to be of the soft, tender greens? Bib leaf lettuce, yes. Arugula, no. And it's not that arugula is not soft. It is. Arugula, for those of you from Europe and many other places, it's often called rocket. And it's called rocket because it's powerful, right? It has a bite to it. It's a peppery flavor. Why does it have a peppery flavor? Okay, and this is why it is a soft, tender green. But what I normally say, what I didn't say, is soft, tender, non-strong tasting green. Non-strong tasting. Why? Because these greens with strong flavors, that strong flavor is the plant trying to warn you that it's toxic, so you don't eat it. Why is it toxic? Because it wants to survive. Okay, plants do not want to be eaten. Now, fruit is different. People say, well, you're eating fruit. I'm not eating the plant. We eat the mango, not the mango tree. The mango tree produces mangoes on purpose in order to distribute seeds. The mango wants to propagate itself. It wants to make as many copies as possible. And so it makes fruit in order to deliver seeds so that animals like us and monkeys and iguanas and I mean here almost everything eats the fruit. Okay, if it can get it. Mangoes fall on the ground, you'll see iguanas hauling off mangoes, to go eat them. Everybody loves fruit because it's got lots of calories. Animals in nature are looking for sources of energy. We're no different. We need those calories. Okay, and so the fruit is different because it's the fruiting plant is making fruit for the fruit to be eaten on purpose. That's the point of it, is to get the seed distributed. But there's no green plant that wants to be eaten. Okay, no plant. Lettuces are plants that happen to not protect themselves very well. Okay, they've been bred, most of them. They're hybrids, which is fine, but they're very low toxicity. So we can eat them without a problem. We don't want to eat too much, but we can eat a head of lettuce, no problem. Arugula, on the other hand, is warning you that it's toxic. And the same is true with all culinary herbs. Any green leaf that has a very strong flavor is usually toxic to us. Okay, and that's why they're doing what they're doing. Okay, that's why they're making themselves taste that way. All right, let me go back over here to YouTube. Let's see where we were. Hey, Abby says, great to see you. Could the volume be turned up a bit? As far as I know, my volume is all the way up, but let me see what I can do about that. Honestly, I'm on a laptop for the first time in quite a while. This is my old laptop. I bought a new laptop because the old laptop stopped working, and I was told it wouldn't be fixable. I was able to get it fixed in the end. Let me see here. So bear with me for a second. I'm going to go to System Preferences and see if I can figure out what's going on there, because this has never been an issue before, but it may well be that something got messed with while I was while it was being worked on. I don't know what they wound up doing to it. Let me see if I can figure out how to do that. I'm not actually seeing anything here. Is there anybody else who's having a problem hearing me? I mean, is it not possible to turn up your volume so I'm louder, or am I already all the way up? Because we've never had an issue before, but again, I realize it might be different now because something might have been shifted. As I say, I just plugged this in, turned it on for the first time in probably 2 months or so. This is the very first time I'm using it. So I'm glad to have it back. It's nice. I actually like the old one a little better than the new one, although the new one's more powerful. That's a positive thing. I am not seeing how to do this. What I'm getting when I click here isn't what I'm expecting to be getting. I'm not really seeing this. So I think I'm doing something wrong here. Let me see if there's another way to find this. Let's see. Bear with me for a second. Again, my lack of technical expertise is showing, as it usually does. Okay. I've got keep my laptop way up here. Let's see, sound. No, that's not it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not really seeing how to do that. As far as I can see, I'm cranked all the way up, but I may be missing something. I think I'm plugged all the way in here. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not sure what to tell you. Okay, hopefully everybody else is okay, because this doesn't seem to be getting any better. So, um, all right, let's see here. So let me see where we were from there. Okay, let me head add lettuce, and there's a few other types. Um, but there's around 30 different varieties within those classifications. Those are going to be your best soft leaves. No, I would recommend avoiding. Okay, so lettuce. We grow lettuce and tomatoes and cucumbers and peppers, and um, we're ramping all that back up. But what fruit I eat, don't have to worry. Even though a famous vegan chef 20 years ago said all you have to do is eat raw food and you build muscle. You can build a fair amount of muscle. You can stay strong and fit easily by eating tiny amounts of protein. Okay, it's been incredible. I just came back from Mexico where I lived on mangoes every day. These incredible atolfa mangoes. I eat what you need to eat. You can build muscle if you're getting enough calories. There's another question. I know there are other questions. Oh, looks like we've for questions. Oh, looks like we've got another super chat here. Just came in. I just noticed that. So that gets top priority. All right. Miche Raviv. I just noticed that. So that gets top priority. All right. Amiche Raviv. Amiche Raviv. That's an interesting name. And I don't recognize the currency. So I'm wondering where you're from. I'm guessing maybe India or Pakistan, but it's just a guess, and I apologize not to offend. Just trying to guess. I don't recognize that currency. So why do you think humans started to hunt and eat meat if they had abundance of fruit trees in the tropics? Again, thank you so much. Thank you, first of all, for your contribution. I appreciate that very much. Um, I really appreciate the support. It makes it much easier for me to be here when I've got like 73 things calling for my time and attention. And I'm thinking, can I really afford to take the time off to do this? One of the things we're trying to do is to create this nature preserve, and we need to raise money to make that happen. And so I really appreciate the support. It's really, really helpful. So can fasting heal eye floaters? Well, technically fasting heals nothing because, but the body is that we give the body the options. Fasting puts us in the optimal conditions, the optimal fasting puts us in the optimal conditions, the optimal circumstance. Body heal eye floaters via fasting. Absolutely. Now, your body is intelligent enough to focus on what's most important. And so you may notice that eye floaters aren't the first thing to be healed. Okay. It may well be that your body is going to focus on something else first because there are other things that are more important. But once the body has completed those things, it will indeed be able to heal your eye floaters. Okay. There's no reason why not. This will happen for sure. Okay. It just may take a little while. Volume is much lower than usual, Diane says. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, Diane. I am at a loss here. Again, as you heard me say, I'm back on this thing for the first time in months, and I'm having trouble figuring out how to correct that problem. It should be simple enough, I would think. I'll go back one more time and see if I'm missing something here. I'm looking at my Launchpad. I think that's where I can access how to shift audio and video, but I'm not seeing it anywhere. I'm not seeing that anywhere. All I see is system preferences, and when I click there, I don't get system preferences. I'm getting iCloud. I mean, I don't understand what's coming up here. It's not allowing me to do what I'm trying to do. So I'm a little confused as to what's going on, and it may well be just because it's been so long since I've been here. I've kind of forgotten what to do, but unfortunately, I'm not seeing it. So I can try to scream. Maybe that'll help. I'm sorry for the guys on Instagram who probably are having no trouble hearing me. You can turn your volume down, I guess. Maybe I'll talk just a little bit louder. Maybe that will help. Okay, sorry about that. So eye floaters, yes. Why did humans start to hunt and eat meat? if there's an abundance of fruit in the tropics. So first of all, is there an abundance of fruit in the tropics? Absolutely. More than half the trees in the tropics make some kind of fruit. So living on a fruit-based diet here is pretty easy to do. Um, why did humans begin to hunt? Well, what happened is humans wound up one way or the other in a different climate, in other climates. Okay, whether humans chose to emigrate to different places or whether there was climatic change, all of a sudden humans found themselves in climates that weren't so friendly. I mean, if you live in Northern Europe or Northern North America, let's say up in Canada somewhere, most of the year, you know how much fruit you've got available? Zero. Okay, most of the year there's no fresh fruit growing. There's nothing growing most of the year. So what are you going to eat? Well, if you're in a climate like that, you might have no choice if you want to survive, but to kill and eat other animals. Okay. Now, fortunately, today, no one needs to do that because no matter where you live, I mean, I've been all over the planet and I've never been anywhere where I couldn't get fresh fruits and or leafy greens. I haven't been to India. I understand there's no lettuce in India, but very hard to find in most places. But there's fruit everywhere, especially India, tons of fruit. Some of you might already know this, but there are more than 3,000 varieties of mangoes in India and Pakistan. So you could probably live on mangoes for at least 4 or 5 months a year in those countries. Um, what happened is we wound up in other places where there wasn't anything else to eat, and people needed to hunt in order to survive. Okay, I mean, I can imagine if I wind up in a place where there's nothing else to eat except animal products, I might eat animal products. I don't want to, but how am I going to survive otherwise? Okay, fortunately, that's not an issue for me, and it's never been an issue. No matter where I've gone, I've been able to find food, real food. It's never been a problem. I notice we have 4 minutes to go. We started late today, so um, Krasimir is here and has made a 20 Bulgarian, whatever the Bulgarian currency is called, a 20 contribution. Thank you so much, Krasimir. I appreciate that very much. Very, very much. And I see that we are, again, as I said, about out of time. There is a comment here from Ed Venice. Ed says, "Good morning, Loren. You're a great inspiration and thank you for what you do. I've always been skeptical. Do you prefer meals or grazing on a raw diet and why? Thank you again." I prefer to eat meals. And not only do I prefer that, but I'm really, really clear that this is much better for our health, Ed. I appreciate your skepticism. I understand maybe it seems more natural to just eat a little bit here and a little bit there. I mean, there are animals that graze. Cows are grazers. But let's look at why that might be. Cows live primarily on grass and little green plants, which on average have about 1/4 as many calories per gram as does fruit on average. I mean, it varies depending on the type of fruit and it varies, but on average, it's about 1/4 as many calories per gram. Now, fruits are not very calorically dense compared to most foods. So imagine that you're trying to live on something. I mean, imagine, first of all, that you're 1,000 pounds. Okay, you need a lot of calories, and you're trying to get those calories from eating something that contains a fraction as many calories as fruit does. You're going to have to eat all day long. And that's why they do it. They don't have a choice. Okay. We do not have to eat all day long. As our bodies become more and more efficient, we need very little food. And the problem with grazing is that one of the problems is that our bodies put more energy into processing food and digesting than virtually anything else. Okay. About half the body's energy goes into processing food through the system. If we are constantly processing food through the system, we're using a lot of energy all the time to do this. The system is constantly being triggered to kick on. Okay. There's tons of proven benefits of intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is nothing more than taking a long break, having your meals occur in a relatively small window. Now, some of you heard me say this before, but it was 2 years ago. I was flying back across the Atlantic Ocean and heard about this new intermittent fasting scheme that people were getting such great benefits from. And that was 12-12, fasting 12 hours a day, putting all your meals within a 12-hour window. You mean having my first meal of the day at 8 o'clock in the morning and my last meal at 8 o'clock at night? That's intermittent fasting? But come on, that's crazy. That's insane. That's spending way too much time. The feeding window is way too big. So that's a 12-hour feeding window, right? I usually get all my calories in every day in a 4-hour window. So breakfast for me occurs typically at about 2 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and dinner, my second meal of the day, typically occurs between 6 and 7, and that's it. That's all there is. I don't consume anything else. Okay, I mean it's not very late now. It's only 10 o'clock in the morning here, which means I'm now late for my 10 o'clock call. But I'm, but at 2 o'clock, I mean I'll have been working already for 9 hours before I have my first meal. I'll have worked out. I'll have done lectures. I'll have spoken to a dozen or more clients. Um, in fact, when we open a week from Saturday. I'll have spoken by the time I have my first meal. I'll have consulted already with 40 plus clients every day. Okay, no problem, no problem at all. We don't run on food; we run on electricity. So the calories I'm consuming today will become the electricity that I run on tomorrow. While I'm sleeping, my body will create electricity. I don't need to eat food now to have energy now. Grazing all day takes energy from the body, means the body's constantly engaged in processing food. So there's much less energy for the body to be able to do what it needs to do. Okay, hope that makes sense. I'm going to take one more question. Janine Pruitt made a $5 contribution and said, Loren, what's been your experience with infertility in women? Have had some testimonials. Yeah, we have had nearly 100% success with infertility. In other words, women who have been unable to conceive come and fast with us for at least 21 days, and they almost always conceive afterwards. Now, of course, there may be situations where something is really damaged, broken, it's not going to happen. But in most cases, the problem is that the body is so toxic that it doesn't want to conceive. Okay, it doesn't want to be burdened with carrying a baby to term and not being able to create a healthy life. And so it doesn't. Okay, chances are really, really high that you could resolve this issue, if it's for you, Janine, or whoever it's for, by fasting long enough and properly. Okay, that's the key, long enough and properly. All right, hope that helps. Folks, I've got to go. I'm sorry, all the folks on Instagram I didn't get a chance to give a shout out to, or a wave to, or say hello to get, to talk about your questions. I appreciate you being here very much. I thank you for spending the time with me. I hope this has been useful for you. If it has been useful, how about giving it a thumbs up? Okay, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. If you believe other people would benefit from this information, feel free to share on your own page. That would be great. Please do that. Let's get this information to people. So many people are walking around thinking that they're stuck, that they're screwed, that they're never going to be healthy. Almost everyone can create an amazing level of health if they're willing to do what they need to do. Folks, I have figured out how to do that. I've helped thousands of people do that. I've been coaching people now for more than 30 years. I've run the largest fasting center for more than 24 years. I guarantee you, I will help you take your health to the highest level you've ever experienced. I don't care how long you've been eating, what you think is optimal. I don't care how many times you fasted on your own. I don't care how many juice fasts you've done, as if that existed. It doesn't make any difference. I promise you, if you're willing to do what you need to do, you can create a much, much higher level of health. Hey, Farid, good to see you here. I'm just now seeing your comments. Thanks so much. I appreciate the love, everybody. Okay. I'm just trying to say hello to everybody here quickly before I jump off. Okay, so again, if you've appreciated this, please consider giving it a like, giving it a share, helping to get this information out there to as many people as we can. And those of you, if I didn't get a chance to answer your question, try to get here earlier next week because this is the issue, right? I mean, often we run out of time. You can go to YouTube and make a super chat. You make a contribution and then your question gets answered. Okay, that's the only way it's guaranteed, is if you do a super chat. Otherwise, I'm going to run out of time. I'm never going to have time to get to all the questions. And so I start at the top. and again, to get to those people who started first. Anyway, everybody, thanks so much for being with me. I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Have a fantastic weekend. I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.